like to call the June 27th, 2023 council meeting to order, and I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Dr. Lee? Dr. Lee?
Here.
Ms. Walden?
Here.
Ms. Shinholster?
Here.
Mr. Reynolds?
Here.
Ms. Mapp?
Here.
Mr. Chambers?
Here.
All right, we do have a quorum present. So if you will, please stand with me and join in with the prayer and the pledge. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you on tonight for allowing us to be able to go and have safe journeys to and back from our annual convention, that we have learned something this week that we are able to bring back and instill into the community for the success of this community. Then, Lord, I thank you for each person represented tonight. I ask that you continue to bless them, touch their hearts, so that we may do the right thing as we come to agree to disagree, but yet to agree. It is these and many more blessings I ask in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We don't have any awards or presentations tonight, and we can move to the adoption of the minutes. You all have received a copy of the minutes of the June 13 council meeting. Are there any questions or corrections that need to be made? Do I hear a motion to adopt the June 13th, 2023 council meeting minutes?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
I'll ask the clerk.
I'll see him.
Second.
Echo.
That was me and Dr. Lee.
You and Dr. Lee. You got Michelle Hudson.
I've got Mr. Chambers because he's closer. Everybody sit at the same time.
Okay.
You ready? So, Dr. Lee? Dr. Lee?
I can't hear you. I didn't hear the mayor.
The mayor's not speaking.
They're calling for a vote on the minutes, Dr. Lee.
Oh,
Ms. Walden?
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster?
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Mapp?
Aye.
Mr. Chambers?
Aye.
All right, the minutes are adopted as official. Can you hear me, Dr. Lee?
much better.
Okay. All right, we'll move to old business, with the first item being the adoption of the fiscal 2024 annual operating budget. We had the first reading and held a public hearing on May 9th, and we are now ready to conduct the second reading and adoption of ordinance O-2205-04. Mr. Clerk, has this adoption of the budget been properly advertised?
Yes, ma'am, it has been.
I will ask the clerk to read ordinance O-2305-04 by caption.
An ordinance to adopt fiscal year 2024 annual operating budget beginning on July 1, 2023 and ending on June 30th, 2024. To adopt the 5-year capital improvements program. To make the budget available for inspection. To outline the adoption schedule and for other purposes.
Is there a motion to adopt?
So move.
Second.
We have met on the budget almost once a week since April, but I will ask this out of formality. Is there any further discussion?
I will make a comment, and that is, this is my 23rd budget, and I don't think we've ever put forth the effort that we've put forth past 3 or 4 months. And that's not to say that we haven't put forth efforts before, but we really scrutinized, and I think I am as proud of this budget as I've been of any.
I will echo Mr. Chambers' comments. We kind of pull our teeth to get it done, but we did. So, and I'm grateful, and I'm like you. I'm just as proud of it as I can be.
I also would like to make a comment that since I've been on council, this is the first that we have really, and I'm not saying we haven't worked together because we have, but a lot went into this, and I'm very proud of everyone. Terrific job.
Any more Peacock proud moments? Okay.
I just want to say I'm very proud
Oh,
of able to
geez,
come
that
together,
mayor.
work as a team on this.
Just ready to pass it.
Ms. Walden?
I'm ready to pass it.
All right. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Dr. Lee,
I,
Ms. Walden,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Ms. Mapp,
Aye.
Mr. Chambers.
Aye.
The budget is adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Griffith.
Thank y'all.
You worked very
Yeah.
hard.
Yes.
Yes.
I've never seen so many spreadsheets.
Y'all work
And
very
don't want to see any more
Y'all
in
work very
Jackson.
hard for the hard staff that we have that works every day, and I appreciate
Yes.
that.
I honestly,
Will too.
I think they'll be proud of what we did.
All right, the next item under old business is Resolution R-2306-20. That was assigned to the meeting at our June 13th meeting. This is in reflection of the creating the Baldwin County Land Bank and approving a land bank contract. Is there a motion to adopt this amendment?
So moved.
Resolution, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have 2 seconds. Who's good?
Mayor, let me just remind everyone that before we send it back to the county, we will put our changes in there in terms of the number of board members and the required votes for certain things to happen and that kind of thing that was shared with y'all earlier as we started this process.
So that's the 4 board members? that
4
we will
board
go
members,
from
that's correct.
4 and 1, okay.
And also, did Mr. Jordan, did Ms. Walden clear what she needed to clear
Yes,
with
ma'am.
you?
Yeah, which didn't actually require any changes to the agreement as modified by the recommendations of the city manager, as well as a few minor changes to make sure the document is consistent with those changes as proposed.
We had a motion and a second. Did you get that, Mr. Henry?
I'm ready.
Is there any discussion? I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Dr. Lee,
no.
Ms. Walden,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
No.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Ms. Mapp,
No.
Mr. Chambers.
Aye.
3-3. I have no's for Dr. Lee,
3-3.
Ms. Walden, and Ms. Mapp, and ayes for Ms. Walden, Mr. Reynolds, and Mr. Chambers.
3.
It's a tie vote.
Well, then that means that falls in my lap. What I will say to the land bank piece of it, and let me make this clear in my reasoning for voting the way I'm going to vote. It's needed in our community to assist those that would not have the opportunity to afford home ownership. Secondly, we have a board set in place that makes it impossible to change up or do something in the city limits without the number or unanimous vote from the Board of council or whoever we put on this board of land bank authority in the city limits. So that means you're gonna have to have the council to weigh in. Council can veto something that they don't like that's happening inside the city limits. And then thirdly, as I've shared with you all many times before, if we weren't gonna give them the permission to do it, to go ahead and give them permission to do it on their own. Because now you have grant funding involved in this, and you all know that you lose grant funding when you cannot get it necessarily passed, it has to go back. So in my voting tonight and breaking this tie, I'm gonna break the tie in for the land bank. Because I think it's very much needed in our community. I think we're all gonna be pleased that we did not go ahead and get in when it got started, but we did get in on ground zero. So that's my vote tonight. Mr. Januza, you can make that in record that I'm voting for the land bank agreement. And then council will assign whoever they choose to go on that authority.
And also on this, if it's something that we find that it's not what we want to do or it's not working right, we can get out of
Yes.
it in 6 months.
Right. It can be, we can go back and revisit it in 6 months. If it's not to the liking of mayor and council, we'll go back and revisit it. But
I'd like to clarify something that you said, though, because grant funding for us is not involved.
but it is for the county.
But it is for the county, but they could have gone ahead and did the land bank, whether we voted in favor of it or not. So I just wanted that clarification.
They would have lost the grant. They would have had to send it back. Yeah.
Not,
I spoke with them. Mr. Jordan, correct me if I'm wrong, because I spoke with them today, and had it not been approved, they would have lost that grant money.
I did not have information to either confirm that.
Yeah. They would have had to
it
send
was
it back.
awarded to the county, not the city.
It wouldn't been ours because we didn't get it, but the
Right.
county would have had to send it back, and they're already in place with the chip process and the GIC.
Georgia Initiative
Georgia
for Community
GIC.
Housing.
So they're already in place with that. We don't want to be the ones to hold them up. If you didn't want to do it, we should have been on gave them permission a long time ago, because I think, if not mistaken, they could have done it without us. But there again, as I shared with everyone, then if that process went through, they got it, then we would have had to turn around and go through the same process in order to do it in the city limits.
And point of clarification, the grant funding actually went to Habitat for Humanity of Baldwin County,
Right.
not the county.
Right.
Well, nevertheless, they would have lost it.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
That's what I'm saying, they would have lost the grant money. And they do have some ready to get started. You actually have people so excited about the fact that this is happening in our community, and the fact that they're going to be able to have home ownership. They're not going to be just renting from someone, but they're going to be putting their own skin in the game. All right, so you have that, Clerk? Mr. Newsom? Okay. That concludes old business. We move to new business, and I will ask the clerk to read ordinance O-2306-05 by caption as a first reading.
This is to conduct the first reading of an ordinance amending the Land Development Code to allow a special use located at 2651 North Columbia Street. This property is currently owned by Darrell Palmer and is on CC. The applicant desires a special use for a car lot with a maximum of 26 cars.
All right, the ordinance at this point is assigned to the Planning and Zoning Commission. The second item under old business is the first reading of ordinance O-2306-06. And I will ask the clerk to please read the ordinance by caption.
This is to conduct the first reading of an ordinance amending the Land Development Code to allow the overlay for a special use of property located at 330 West Green Street. This property is currently owned by Richard Sims and it's on SFR1. Applicant desires overlay that allows a special use for group residence for this property. If approved, the applicant will then request a special use for the group residence.
And this ordinance also will be assigned to the Planning and Zoning Commission. At this time, I will ask the clerk to please read ordinance O-2306-07 as a first reading for an ordinance to amend the current budget to move money from ARPA account line item to the Boys and Girls Club donation account line item so that they can sponsor the Hooping for Success initiative.
An ordinance to amend the 2022-2023 fiscal year annual operating budget to include a donation to the Boys and Girls Club of Baldwin and Jones Counties, Incorporated, to support the Hooping for Success initiative.
As you know, we discussed this at the last work session, and it was decided that not only was Hooping for Success a good program for our city and our county's youth, it was also discussed and decided that the best means for the city's participation was through an additional donation to the Boys and Girls Club. Since this first reading, reading of this ordinance, and it is a time-sensitive matter, I would entertain a motion to suspend our rules and adopt the ordinance on its first reading. Sorry, y'all.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any questions? Is there any discussion or clarification that needs to be made regarding the budget amendment?
Mayor, I would like to make just one if I could.
Sure.
Based on our conversation at our work session on July 15th, I think. June 15th. We had some conversations about the dollar amount and the length of the program. Based on my conversations with Ms. Peak, the length of the program may not be such that it's going to end on June 29th like it was originally shared. So I asked Ms. Danzy to go ahead and put the full amount in the budget amendment request that was requested by the Hooping for Success program information that was shared with us. And what I will do is I will have the Boys and Girls Club invoice us and put documentation with that invoice so that we pay them the exact amount of money spent on the program up to this amount.
And keep in mind, this is a vote. This first vote is to dispense with
To suspend the rules, right.
first reading.
I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. I was
That's okay.
wrong, so.
That's okay. So at this time, I'm going to ask the clerk to please call the roll for the suspending of the rules.
Dr. Lee?
Aye.
Ms. Walden?
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster?
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Mapp? Aye. Mr. Chambers?
Aye.
All right, the motion carries and the rules are suspended. You have heard the ordinances and the rules have been suspended. Do I hear a motion to adopt the budget amendment as presented?
So moved.
Second.
I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Dr. Lee?
Aye.
Ms. Walden?
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster?
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Mapp? Aye. Mr. Chambers?
Aye.
All right, the motion carries and the amendment is approved. I will ask the clerk to read Resolution R-2306-21 by caption.
A resolution authorizing an agreement with BTBB Incorporated for the architectural plans for Mary Vinson Memorial Library renovations.
You have heard the resolution. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Mayor, Mark Bronstad with the library is here tonight, and this is actually some renovation that they have received money from the state for. Mark, you want to just give us a quick overview of what that is and the need for this contract and how you're going to go forward from there?
Thank you for having me. Very excited to get this project going. Want to express gratitude for allowing us to use the annex building next door during the renovation while Mary Vincent is closed. I've been through renovation before when I worked at the libraries in Houston County, and finding a temporary location can be difficult and also expensive, and so that's a great asset, so thank you. So the way that this works is we're getting the total project, the renovation cost is $1 million. We're getting $950,000 from the state, and the city of Milledgeville is contributing $50,000. We do need to spend some of that money. We have passed a spend down date, and we did get an extension, but we do need to start spending some funds to move the project forward so we don't lose the money. And the plan is we put out the RFQ for architectural services. BTBB submitted a proposal, and there was a committee that involved library staff, library board, and city and county representatives. We reviewed the RFQs, ranked it. BTBB was decided to have the best proposal, and the library board voted on it. And we got a contract from BTBB. We just need your signature, and we'll be all set.
And let me fill in a little bit of the rest of the story about that $50,000. If you all remember, as part of service delivery, what was agreed to was that the county would deposit $96,000 per fiscal year from their general fund into a fund for renovations and maintenance on the library. Over the course of the 10 years, it would be a total of $960,000, and 3/4 of that, or 75%, yes, I'm thinking percent. You think with all the spreadsheet, I could figure that out in my head, wouldn't you? That's the problem. I've been using spreadsheets. 75% of that will come to the city for the city library facilities, and that is where the $50,000 will come from that will be necessary to match this state grant.
Good.
So, what you're needing from us is just to sign off on that match grant from you, right?
Right. Yeah. As the owners, the city is the owner of the Mary Vincent Memorial Library. Really formality to sign off on it. This is pretty standard procedure. A few years ago, the Jones County Public Library, which is part of Middle Georgia Regional Library, went through a renovation with the same thing. The Jones County was the owner of the building, and so their chairman of the Board of Commissioners signed off on it. So the process here with you being the mayor, you'd be the contract holder.
Okay.
And writer's check.
Okay. I was just about, is there any discussion from council on that?
Yeah, the way that works, so any bills would be billed to the city, and then the city would then issue to the library for reimbursement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No further discussion. I'm going to ask the clerk, please call the roll.
Dr. Lee? Ms. Walden?
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster?
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Mapp?
Aye.
Mr. Chambers?
Aye.
The motion carries. I'll ask the clerk to read Resolution R-2306-22 by caption.
A resolution to authorize a standard utility agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation as the second phase of the department's participation with the cost of replacing City of Milledgeville-owned water and sewer facilities on the State Route 29, aka 441 Business Route or South Wayne Street Bridge, where it crosses Fishing Creek.
You have heard the resolution. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move we adopt.
Second.
Wait a minute. We got so many seconds tonight. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, I do see an error in
Hold it.
what the Georgia Department of Transportation sent us. Total cost of the work is $900,000. GDOT's going to provide $180,000 or 20%. The city will bear $720,000, and it says or 10%. Obviously, that would be or 80%. $720,
What
the
page
really,
is that
the
on?
really, that's the very first page of the contract with GDOT. The really good thing about this, with the day and time that we're in, you can see that it states that the city of Milledgeville's maximum contribution is limited to the $720,000. So that amount is locked in, and we do have 2012 SPOS proceeds to cover that.
And I will note too that in the actual contract, that is correct. It's 720 or 80%. So that's just in the cover letter where that is. We're good to sign that agreement.
Okay. Any more discussion on it? All right, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Dr. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. Walden,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Ms. Mapp,
Aye.
Mr. Chambers.
Aye.
And the resolution is adopted as official. I'll ask the clerk to present the alcohol license applications at this time.
Hold on one moment. It is for Payush Kumar Patel for Jefferson Businesses LLC located at 1939 North Jefferson Street, and it is for beer and wine retail package to go.
All right, well, you have heard the application. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Dr. Lee,
Aye.
Walden,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Ms. Mapp,
Aye.
Mr. Chambers.
Aye.
The alcohol license has been approved. We didn't have any appointments on the agenda for tonight. However, I want to ask Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee, are you ready for me to go forth with this recommendation?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. So, we put it on the agenda. We took it off the agenda to appoint Mr. Greg Barnes to the CVB board. And in talking with Dr. Lee and kind of doing some homework behind it, I want to put this back out for a vote tonight. So at this time, Mr. Denuser, I'm in the agenda to add an appointment to the CVB board.
I think you just have
Okay. And I want to,
nomination.
yes, I want to nominate Mr. Greg Barnes to the appointment for the CVB board tonight. So I guess we're ready to take a vote on it.
We need to vote on an amendment.
Yeah, it has to be, no, not on the
Just on-
amended agenda. It says any appointments, if any, so it's covered on the.
So, are you nominating for?
Yes.
I can't hear.
I'm nominating him, Dr. Lee.
Okay.
So we need a motion and a second to confirm the nomination.
Right. So I need a motion and a second, and then a vote on the nomination.
I'll make a motion to confirm the nomination.
Need a second, please don't let it out.
Second.
Thank you. Been properly motion and second. I'm gonna ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Dr. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. Walden,
No.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
No.
Ms. Mapp,
Aye.
Mr. Chambers.
No.
We have a tie.
Okay. Can't always have everything we want. And my reasoning for voting this way, this time, is that it was brought to my attention that everybody deserves a chance to be able to reconfirm themselves or whatever have happened. I don't know. You all know I work in the moment. I don't know about the past, but I'm looking at going forward. I think he could bring a lot to the CVB board, giving his ability to work with the community, have different heart-healthy functions, work with families and children. One thing that's unique about our boards is we control our boards. If the board is having a problem and we need to replace somebody, then we have that ability to replace somebody. So I'm gonna vote yes for Mr. Barnes tonight. Everybody needs to try. And we all make mistakes, we all fall down, but we get back up. That's the name of the game. So my vote tonight is gonna be to allow him to become a member of the CVB board. Do you need anything else, Ms.? Okay. Is there any need to go into closed session tonight?
I don't have anything to
All right, and that concludes our agenda tonight. Does anyone on council have any comments or announcements?
Madam Mayor, when we last spoke, you had asked me if I wanted to bring forth my nomination for the Planning and Zoning Committee, and I had confirmed that I did.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me back up. We do have Mr. Reynolds want to make his appointment for the Planning and Zoning in his district.
That's correct.
Okay, go ahead. And who are you nominating?
I would like to nominate Ms. Emily Cook to serve for District 4 for the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Do we have a resume?
Yes, ma'am. A resume was emailed out to the council about a month and a half ago.
Yeah, it was mailed out.
I missed that one.
So we have a nominee on the floor for Miss Emily Cook. Need a second and a motion and a second on it.
Move we approve.
Please let me have a second, don't let it die.
Second.
Right, clerk, please call the roll.
Dr. Lee? Ms. Walden?
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster?
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Mapp?
Aye.
Mr. Chambers?
Aye.
All right. There being no other motions or amendments that we need to make tonight, does anyone else have any comments or announcements to make? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. I beat you, Steve.
Meeting adjourned.